Boy. Morning, Sharon. How you doing? Mike Miller from CHA.
Always good to hear your voice.
Hey, Gary. Hey, Gary. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah. Most better. Okay.
Hi, Mike. It wouldn't let me
Morning.
unmute myself.
That's all right. You were the only one on camera at the time, so I thought you were in.
There might be a reason for that, though.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi.
We're just waiting for Troy. Well, who's on the audit? Hey, Troy for Andrew, Maggie, and Gary. I'm gonna put us on mute in the room here until we start.
I'll not share about that when we get back. Within that. You guys got any questions of why I said certain things on it's going to go on? And then it's that new format too. Yes. So, you know. Everyone knows last year.
This is the money due to you from. When I came back, that whole list of invoices that I sent. Gotcha. Yeah, and then that second.
That is what was going on.
The advances.
All that.
Right. The
This
second.
one is the.
But it clears those invoices on your.
Because I always use. And.
So now what the next step is, I got the other half of that.
Yeah.
Is that I have to allocate some, I have to go find where it actually belongs.
I haven't seen that.
So, and I'm guessing it's gonna be a split between.
Is it out there? I usually, you have to win administrative.
We got,
Yes.
Different.
Gavel,
gavel, gavel. Yeah, I'm here, okay.
Okay.
And somebody from the audit committee should call the audit committee meeting to order. We're gonna have the meetings at the same time. So we've got.
Did we have an audit agenda, meeting agenda?
It should have been on top.
Yeah, that on top sheet. Because I don't have what I presumed it might be just.
Maybe,
Here.
This is the audit committee agenda.
Good shot.
Wow. I didn't see that coffee cup. Okay. Risky. So, yeah, Andrew or Gary, you're committee members, so you wanna. Flip for the, who wants to chair? Call the, I'll staff call the meeting to order. Call the meeting of the audit committee, CSO Pool Corporation's audit committee, and Bill, you called the regular meeting to order.
Yeah, we've got myself and Chris Powers here from Albany. We've got William Smart here from Co's. Sharon Butler is on a call remotely. We've got William Smart here for Rensselaer. Troy, we've got Andrew and Christine here. And my buddy from Watervliet, Gary Nathan from Green Island. We've got Mark, Tom, CDRPC. Mike Miller is on back remotely from joint venture team. And that's we'll call our meetings going.
Mhm. And we have guest Amy Pendrick here from Weston Company, who'll be going over our audit. Just for the record, members of the audit committee are Gary, Andrew and Maggie, who was briefly online. I don't see her there anymore. But without any further ado, the first item on both agendas is the audit presentation. So I'll turn it over to Amy and I'll share my screen just in case you guys want to see stuff.
Great, thank you. So good morning. We're here, as mentioned, I'm here, there's no we. To present the audit, and the draft audit, the final audit and the 990, which is the informational tax return that goes to the IRS. We're here a little later than usual. Tom had been, and as he's been talking about prior to the meeting, doing some cleanup back and forth between the organizations. So it took a little longer to get to the audit point, but we're here. And as a result of going through the books, working with Tom and Mark and getting all the information, the audit went well. We had no audit adjustments, no management letter comments or any disagreements with management or anything that we would need to report to the audit committee or the board. Going through the audit itself, that's all reflected in that first page, which is our opinion. So the independent auditor's report is one of the only few reports that are ours. The rest are management's financials. But that second opinion says, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly. So that's a clean, unmodified opinion on the September books, and the highest opinion we give as a profession. The rest of the opinion is just boilerplate language that talks about my responsibility as your auditor, management's responsibility. Then we get to the balance sheet at the end of September 30, 2025 and comparative to 24. We ended the year with about $25,000 in cash, some accounts payable, and then the net amount due to and from communities, which is broken out further in detail in the footnotes to get to that 25,000. And as in the past, because the money comes in, the money goes out, comes in from the community, goes out to pay the bills, we have no equity, no net assets, nothing to report. That next page, page 4, is for 25. The page after that is what you can see for 24 is the income statement. So our revenues this year.
On the right page?
Yes, you're on the right page. Yep. So this is 25. Our revenues this year about $2.5 million. Again, some program or mostly program, some grant revenues. That's down from last year. That's just based on the activity that you guys have going on during the year. So $2.5 million of revenues, and again, because the revenues are driven by expenses, they do match. And they're broken down between project costs, some professional fees, which is us, admin fees, and insurance. And then the next page is just last year's that we went over last year. Then page 6 gets to the breakdown of the costs between program and management in general. So you are required to break that down. Obviously, most of your expenses are program, and then just the overhead type costs go into that management general cost. I'm going to skip to page 9, just given the cash flow statement. 9 starts your footnotes. These give more explanation to what's in the financials, gives more explanation to the organization. They are unchanged for this year other than the current year activity. There's no new accounting pronouncements that affected the corporation. So everything is pretty much status quo in that effect. Footnote 1 talks about who you are, what you do, and how you account for certain items. But I'm going to go to page 11, which is that breakdown, the audited breakdown between the due from communities as of September 30. So this just says what's due from or due to the communities between at the end of the year. And that's how we got to that 8891 that's netted on that balance sheet. And that is obviously the biggest part of what we audit. We look at all the costs and then we're looking at that breakdown as well. So and other than that, the last footnote is just there's no subsequent events. There's nothing that would rise to the attention for the reader to note for next year going forward. If something significant happened, that's where we would disclose that.
In other words, we're boring.
Yes, but boring is good.
Boring is
Good. And then the very last page, we just have that schedule that we've been kind of accumulating. Years ago, it was really, really big and getting really tiny. So what we did is we've truncated the schedule. We have all the cumulative through 2022 put in the 2 columns, and then we have individually each year separately 23, 24, and 25, just so you can see the activity of grants and costs to date. just any questions on the financials, the audit process, anything we do when we go through that audit. Then the very last piece is your 990, which is the federal tax return.
I know.
Yep. I know, I saw you bring it up, so I know you have it.
You should zoom this window.
That's it. There we go. So this is the document that goes to the IRS. It's just an informational return. It takes the numbers that are in your financial statements, puts them in this document, and then it lists additional information. Like it lists the board members, it lists like, do you have conflict of interest policies, whistleblower policies, the things like that. So it's just informational to them. There's nothing to be paid with this return attached. This gets attached along with your financial statements to the New York State return. That's done online now. We will do that for you. There is the filing fee that goes along with that. So that's the other piece that will go, and that becomes this becomes a public document, and the other items become a public document that is available. And you guys have it all on your website anyway, but people can find it on the Charities Bureau and in GuideStar. So, but again, the 990 has not changed, status quo, just again, putting in the information from this year's activities. But as I mentioned, the audit went very smoothly. Tom gave us everything we needed. He worked with Brian from my office, a CPA in my office that worked directly with Tom on getting everything together and the financial statements draft for you guys, so. And these will end up ultimately going into Paris and getting your filing all set. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
I'm off to my next meeting. I have to go to Scotia now, so it's a meeting day for me, but thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks for coming.
I did not get a copy of that.
Sure. I'll print one out for you. Do you need one right now?
No, but
Okay.
before I leave, I'd like.
Sure.
What were you looking for?
The other, the copy about the.
Oh, you didn't get,
Yeah, I guess there was a miscommunication and only the members on the audit committee got a copy of that, not the full board. My mistake.
okay. So, on to item 3.
Yeah. Unless the audit committee should approve the December 11th minutes.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Maggie, you're on the audit committee, but since you're not here, your vote doesn't count.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
We still like you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So we have that all set. Any other business on the?
We have to accept the audit though, too, right?
Yeah, recommend the audit for adoption to the full board.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, the recommendation has been made to the full board to accept the audit. All right, on to the full board meeting agenda.
Gonna adjourn your meeting on the. Or,
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
You've been doing all the work, Eric.
All right, meeting of the audit committee is adjourned at 10:16. All right, resuming the regular meeting of the board of corporation.
okay. So we have, already had the audit presentation.
Yep,
And
the action item is for the full board to accept the audit. Or accept the recommendation of the audit committee to accept the audit.
Yeah, can I have a motion to accept the audit as presented? Well, have a second?
I'll second.
Christine, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. So then there's the minutes of December 11th. Anybody wants to take a quick look and see if there's anything. Probably want to have River Cooper be capitalized. Everybody's name is spelled right. Any motion to accept the minutes presented?
I'll make a motion.
Gary, have a second?
That's nothing.
Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Committee report, I guess, would be,
Just if anybody has any committee updates they'd like to share, the committee work has progressed since our last meeting. In that all the evaluations have been received. I think that online process worked well. And the oaths of office have also been received. So I believe we need to submit those board evaluations with the Paris filing.
I think so.
Okay, so those have all been collected and ready to go.
so we can check the box on the Paris.
Yep.
So financial report as of the end of December.
Not much happened other than receiving a large check from Troy, which we're distributing now. So that left us with a December 31 balance of $1,000,004 almost. All of that will be going out, half of it right now and half of it in the next few days. We added $3,000 from last month for the total program construction budget. We're sitting at just shy of 3% completion, and that's it. We don't owe anybody any money, and nobody owes us anything.
Okay, any questions on the current financial report? Then, we'll move on to invoices.
There are none.
We have no invoices.
No invoices,
Placeholder.
so,
Well,
no, nothing needed in that regard. I guess the question would be, most of our work is with, National Water Main and, the Choice Project.
They're on hold for the winter, so they haven't, let's see, they worked for what, maybe a week?
Yes.
Have we got anything submitted on that yet for,
If there's invoices, no,
and,
I'm still working with them on the utilization plan to try to get that wrapped up.
okay,
They filled out the wrong one, we went back to talk to Brenda Lee, we got a DBE one, and so that a little bit, but that was, the call log was not. We're working,
okay,
yeah,
okay, put that before the job start.
yeah.
Then, the hoses again,
we should share, what do we have pending for invoices? You know,
Carver,
off the top of your head? Should have something, I think we got Carver and Arcadis invoices that should be coming this way.
did, utilization plan get approved for Carver now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a couple invoices from Arcadis that I have to get over. One I just got that I submitted to Mike to be paid. But I can send over everything that I got to cancel checks back on.
Was there some, SHPO item that had to be, taken care of?
I did get that letter from Arcadis yesterday or the day before. So I can send that over too.
Okay, so I think that was one of the last items.
Yeah.
They were looking for. Okay, so we can see about getting those paid, so some close. And, is that actually in beneficial use, we'll see at this point, or is not yet?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I know that there was electrical that had to get done yet last time.
Status of where we are, there's electrical outstanding, they're actually not starting electrical until the next Monday. There was an issue, believe it or not, with the prime and the subcontractor over the increased price for the going from a stationary generator to a portable generator. Which entailed putting in one additional conduit from one slab to the next slab that the building sets on. And they wanted to charge $35,000.
You're kidding me.
So that So it's been a back and forth, but finally they are scheduled to be there on Monday. To start work, and hopefully they got about 2 weeks to work. I believe all, or as of right now, all of the hydraulics is all in. Obviously the screens are in, covers are all in, it looks pretty good. Building looks good, it just needs to be powered up, as soon as it's powered up. We're ready to start trials probably here in effective, first part of February, I'm assuming we're gonna go on.
Just in time for the spring time.
When it rains now, does it go through the screens passively or what happens?
We haven't had an overflow. Well, that I'm aware of in the time period that they've had the new screens in. No, right now they're closed. Those screens, the screens can open and close, and right now they're closed. So if it overflows, it's just gonna overflow and go untreated back to work. But
Okay,
Like it always did.
so.
number one, there's a couple things outstanding. We need to deal with the county. Because when we go operational, we're gonna need some training and we're gonna have to have county people there because they're gonna be, that was what you had told me there.
Yeah.
That was the agreement with the county was that they were gonna operate.
It was a verbal agreement, whether.
I sent that off,
Better pay for that.
I sent that off, the other day and, I haven't heard back.
Okay,
See what happens.
you dealing with Craig there or?
Lady, I forgot her name.
Oh. Interesting.
So the person who took Craig's regulatory spot.
Poor Craig's Angel's assistant now. Well, that's what I was figuring.
So, the other thing is I haven't quite figured out how they're gonna test this thing. Short of having an overflow net to test it in.
Right. Well, with the stone town coming. you're
Don't cause a
probably-
dry weather.
No, so I haven't figured out quite how they're gonna test everything and verify that it works. Short of waiting until there is an overflow event and then being there.
Right.
So in terms of DC, there's a quarterly meeting this afternoon. The DC say we think it's gonna be beneficial occupancy kind of thing, Q1 of this year.
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking probably mid-February when I'm in Florida.
So if you have
Rain when I
if you have an
say-
overflow, the screens are open or will the water go through, won't be screened?
Right now, it wouldn't be screened.
Okay. Until the screen.
It would operate exactly the same as it does now.
Is it just a manual change to put the screens in, or is it computer?
No, the screens are in. They have covers that come over the top, so you can close those down, so. It can't overflow without going
Gotcha.
through the screen,
Gotcha.
and then when they open those up, everything will go into the screen. That's it.
Okay, so, then in terms of EFC disbursements and reconciliations, we'll have a meeting on Tuesday to talk about that. Again, we're working with bi-weekly. And it's
I'm
just,
planning on attending this week, yeah.
it's usually just for in Albany that actually have active financings. So, we'll just, find out how that goes. On Albany's side, we've got a new MBO. So Andrea is got moved over to the budget office and Chantel Plas is gonna be our new MBO. She used to work in the audit office, so we're introducing a new person to Brenda Lee.
Okay.
And I think everything's going on pretty well with that. So
How did, shouldn't be asking this, but I will anyway. Was there any resolution on the WIA grant on what in God's name is happening?
It was, well, you can probably answer this better than me, but it's EFC's take on it that we weren't the sole grant receiver for that. That Albany and Troy both received funds in that grant. So they couldn't give us the full grant because then it would have been double payment.
I think what they were saying was they made
No.
they made a mistake.
Sounds like it to me.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I got out of it too. Is
they made a
that,
mistake.
yeah,
So a $430,000 grant turned into an $11,000 grant.
That-
actually, it's around 9,000, Bill.
Oh, it keeps going down.
That has never been done before with any of the grants that we've got. Never.
Yeah, Gary, I will share with you, like WQIP grants are applied differently to projects than WIA grants. WIA
Obviously.
grants, WIA grants go directly to the municipality who's listed under that IUP is basically, almost principal forgiveness. WQIP grants come off the total project, but WIA grants are specific to the financer or the financee.
So it was a AFC mistake because they awarded it when they shouldn't have awarded it.
Yeah.
because-
In other words, Gary, if you think about it, like Bill finances out of his tranche, and Bill would have to tell me if he's up to tranche 3 or 4 at this point. But like I think it's the third tranche of the LTCP, which he gets WIA money for. So, EFC saying, well, wait a second, you're already getting 25% out of your financing. So we can't double dip and apply it twice. So you guys typically don't have a lot of WIA financing, right? The only
No.
thing it would have come into play before was potentially I don't even know if you guys financed the satellite treatment facility or not. I think you did, but I don't remember.
No, no, because they only had 2.7% of the
Right.
cost,
Right.
but
And
but EFC, they should have been aware from the get-go, about
Yes.
how the whole process was.
Because we're counting on that money.
And we asked at every 2-week meeting throughout the year of 2025 about that $430,000. And it wasn't until it was time to close on the grant that EFC.
Realized.
So unfortunate, but, yeah, John McDonald did have some correspondence with the president of the EFC.
We got a very good response I thought from you. I mean, whether it's right or not, at least it was a response
So that was just,
that upheld their position.
And there was no option for them to reprogram kind of another pot of money.
I don't know what they could have done, but for Albany's share, we had both bill money and WIA money. So we had our share on our fourth tranche is only 1.5% of our, which was good. It makes sense, but it was too bad it wasn't.
I mean, $9,000, that barely pays the amount of money that you pay the consultant to fill out everything and to chase the grant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't make any sense.
and yeah, we have to pay more on Troy and Albany shares. It kind of, I guess, settles the question about how our cost summaries are set up, because I kept bringing it up because does our cost summary have to get adjusted?
Right.
Because of this $430,000 grant.
Right.
And so the answer finally was no. It's a move to everything. So we're just
Well, if we would have known that that was the situation, we could have done things differently.
Yes.
We wouldn't have gone through EFC at all, and we wouldn't have been held to their requirements, the WMDE requirements, which probably would have blown the price of the project.
Actually, you still would have been held to those requirements because Albany and Troy financed through it.
Oh, okay.
But that part really doesn't change.
yeah, it's
That always confused.
that's why the DBE requirement, because it had bill money.
Yeah,
Well, the other thing is too, is our comptroller, or the city of House's comptroller was assuming that they were gonna get 400,000 and change.
Mhm.
Well, they're
Yeah.
not.
They're
So,
not.
we've got to find the additional money now to come on up to fund the cash flow until such time we get reimbursed. So, yeah, not, Mike, probably is not a happy camper.
Well, if we
I
can,
can't blame him.
we can get their utilization plan taken care of, then we could try to push the money as fast as we can from Albany, Troy. And get stuff settled out, so I think, since the audit, we've had a little bit more coming from communities over to Cohoes, right?
Yeah.
So let's, just keep working on that for, getting any money from two other communities all squared away. So, communities that did bands can get their bands paid off.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I think Mike was taking it out of the capital fund. Oh,
Albany's, got a couple projects that we're working with CHA on for eliminating Schuyler and, Liberty overflows, and I'm gonna meet with Capitalize Albany to talk about what the current ideas are for Liberty Park,
yeah,
and, what some ideas that we have are on that. We haven't heard anything officially back from DEC about asking for extension of that date to do Liberty, but I don't think we have a problem with that. I don't know if you've heard anything officially back on your project either.
No,
Extending the date.
right about the extension, no.
But that's and we submitted our dose response testing, which isn't really part of the long-term control plan, but part of our SPEES permit, so we submitted that for January 1st date for Beaver Creek. And we've got a date of May 1st to get our wet weather operating plan. And the main thing we needed to do was still figure out what to do with the post-construction compliance. And I think at this point, Albany's got a guy, Peter Beck, some of you guys might know from the
Oh, yeah.
Stormwater Coalition.
Yep.
And he's a fisherman, he's got a boat. He lives in Slip 12 on Erie Boulevard. So he's got a boat near the boat launch. He'd be willing to use his boat, and I talked to Corp Council about insurance and other things that Corp Council didn't think that was a problem.
Mhm.
And so I think I think Albany may need to come up with a force account proposal in regard to this. I think we would propose to take care of the boat and the testing. We would probably use Adirondack and
yeah,
for the fecal, and then some portion of doing this, we'd need, I guess I'm proposing we'd work with Mike and the joint venture team.
Yep.
For the report writing and maybe for some reinforcements if we need on sampling side. And if the other communities also want to have any volunteers on this weekly sampling thing, we've got samples that off some bridges up near Mohawk and Troy and some.
that brings me to a question. Does anybody have an idea on what transects we're actually going to be sampling at?
Yeah, we've got the approved plan. Mike, I think we've.
It's actually posted, yeah, it's actually posted on CDRPC's website on the pool community stuff.
Oh, all right.
It's
Yeah.
there.
And I think we had it at one of our meetings, we had a copy of it, and we can get you that, but so there's some things by boat, there's some things off bridges, there's some things offshore. And if we can divvy up on the weekly sampling and then some arrangement to bring samples to Adirondack.
Yeah.
I think we get. I think it'd be the most economical way.
Because I know some of the ones as we got into the hose and stuff like that, I don't know if that transect is still there or not, that we got a sample, but we took it off the bridges. Which helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only
Um,
2 river transects, Gary, and they're down in the lower Hudson area.
Okay,
Everything else is off a bridge or accessible.
that makes it easier for the volunteers to, yeah, actually even get a volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so,
I think we have about 37,000 left on the DOS grant earmarked for either legal counsel or joint venture teamwork.
okay, so if, yeah, if Albany has some expenses with a lab and,
Yeah.
force account, we can, use some of that along with the joint venture team's part.
Do we need to write a memo? Not necessarily an IMA, but just a memo articulating who's gonna do what here?
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea, so there's a documented. Item on. What we did and why we did it,
Mhm.
in case there's a question later on.
Yeah, and if we want to, divide up the sampling responsibilities and,
Yeah,
who's doing which sample locations.
Hmm.
And, decide whether we're all putting in for Force Scout labor stuff, or we're just gonna put in for the lab work and the boat.
well, the other thing is too, we might have to rely on joint venture too, if for some reason we have volunteers. But what happens when we're supposed to be doing sampling, they end up sick with the flu or
Back up.
something like that, you know, they're back up.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I guess, if Mike, if you could, have some hourly assistance,
Or my intern will be available if you need.
and if CDRPC, yeah, if CDRPC has, also
Yeah.
might have.
Yeah, my recommendation we internally look at the communities and assess what kind of reserve pool we can develop, right? And then work off of that reserve pool. And in an emergency situation, if you need to pay somebody from the joint venture to assist, we can go out and assist. Obviously, we just have to know a little bit ahead of time so that we can schedule people to do that. But this will keep the program cost down lower for you, right? If you guys have interns that can go out and assist with it or other staff members, that's the goal is to try and keep it as low as we can and to utilize the joint venture where we really need to, like the assessment of the data, compilation, and reporting stuff. We're
Yeah, I
happy
mean,
to assist any way you need. I'm just saying, hey, the better we can develop a reserve pool amongst the communities, the lower your costs are going to be.
So I'm a water quality person that if we can charge to the CSO program, I'm sure she'd be cool with going out doing sampling as well as the intern.
Yeah,
They
probably love to.
Yeah, it's good work. So I'll commit to that. If we need 2 people.
okay,
Okay, so, we'll, think about this, I guess we'll, take a look, at the approved plan.
yeah,
I guess the approved plan had a couple of parts, right, Mike? It was like there was a letter with some responses to, DEC comments, and then a second thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's in my mind, I looked at it and it was pretty clear what we're required to sample under the post-construction, monitoring plan. But
Yeah.
what I would say is if you guys want to internally say, okay, we think we have this pool of individuals, we can set up a quick meeting at CDRPC or the Albany Water Department or wherever it's convenient to meet and just bring those people into a room and we'll sit down and have a little discussion about the program, about the requirements, about how we go about sampling, chain of command, those types of things. But let's try to identify who might be involved and then we can kind of have that focus meeting to kind of bring them up to speed, talk about, we can talk about circuiting. How many people do we have? How many teams do we think we can set up reasonably? You know, what happens if we think we have 3 teams and we have 2 teams? Then how does it get done? And if we do the pre-planning and set them up, then there's no reason that we won't have success doing it this way.
Okay,
So a couple follow-up items I'm hearing, you guys discussed among yourselves the division of responsibilities. But you all can send to me or send to all people who might be interested in participating in the sampling program. And then Mike, will you sort of draft out a template or at least a proposed sampling schedule? And then we can
Yeah,
start.
I'd have to go back and look at the document, but I'll make it up. It's like every, it's repeatable. It's like every Wednesday.
Right,
Right. So the idea is, and the reason we do it that way is to avoid the state saying, well, we want so many X wet weather events and so many dry weather events, and then adjust according to weather. Right. Because of the state requirements for water quality, it's this rolling geometric calculation. The most unbiased way to do it is to say, guys, we do it repeatably every Tuesday or every Wednesday morning, depending on what makes sense from this pool of individuals, and just make it repeatable. So,
yeah,
but we
yeah,
will absolutely, once we know the level of volunteerism or the level of participation we have in the program, then we can kind of drill down and we can kind of tease out, okay, how many circuits make sense? Does it make sense if we have people from, I'll just make something up, from Cohoes and maybe somebody from Green Island? Okay, well, let's assign this group of sample points to them and agree on where they drop these samples off once collected, right? Maybe there's somebody from the other side of the river from Troy, Rensselaer. We'll see. Let's see what the volunteer pool looks like and then go from there. But I think the very first step is to get a commitment at this point as to who's potentially in the pool, and then we can talk about first priority, second priority, third priorities based on, how we want to assign the work. In other words, Mark, you might say, I got 2 people, they can do it every week. They're in. We can commit to that. This is repeatable. We just schedule once we know how many circuits, it could be it could be half a day, once a week, we can commit to this. Um, then we can kind of set it up from there. And if necessary, if we have too many, we can't have too many people, right? Because we can put the extra people just in a reserve pool and say, okay, we'll keep your names on file. And if something comes up and we need you, then we'll give you a call and see if you're available.
I mean, I can generally commit, to the regular schedule pending people's vacations, which is why you need the reserve pool.
Exactly. And that's fine. And that's absolutely fine, Mark. This isn't a 2 decimal place answer at this point. It's a starting point. Let's just figure out how many people are interested and we think from a municipal standpoint, can participate. And
I
then we
like,
can drill down.
I like that phrase. It's not a 2 decimal point question.
Well, unfortunately, Bill's probably heard me say it too many times. It's something I use a lot. That's a way for me to say, to other engineers, let's not over engineer this thing. This isn't a 2 decimal place answer, guys. So,
we also have, the wastewater plants,
All right.
we should get their own operators to, assist with that, those collections. And I think we'd still want to do those with the same lab and not, necessarily.
Right, you all go to the same place.
And I don't think, counties got ELAP certification anymore from that.
yeah, they
point of view.
don't.
Right. So,
I don't think the county would have been interested in doing it anyways, though, Bill. Just
Yeah, I think you're right, because they don't have the same amount of people that they used to have when it was originally done. Just like everybody else, there's a shortage. And
that, and they've got a lot going on too, so they're not as willing to commit their resources outside their operations as much as Rich or Tim would have previously. And they've got a lot heavier lift on their side right now too, so it's understandable.
okay,
I apologize, the last time I looked at some of the stuff was a couple of months ago. but, I'm assuming the sampling this time around will be just during the day. It's not gonna be a 24-hour sampling event.
No, it's at our discretion when it happens.
Okay,
So if people really were like, well, it makes more sense to do it in the afternoon, or we start at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, or it's at our discretion. It's not a 24-hour thing. It's literally we have a circuit, and on a given day, we're committed to go and collect X samples, whatever that amount is.
okay,
So it's much easier, Gary, and we don't have to track storm events like we did when we were doing the LTCP. It's
right,
just repeatable. This day, every week for the next whatever, 3 months, 4 months, whatever we're required to do. I think it's at least 4 months though.
and we'd probably be starting
May
June.
1st. No,
Okay,
May.
we may have to go the whole, recreational period, but, we potentially could go from May to the end of August, but we might have to go to the end of September, October.
Yeah, and
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it has to
Okay.
do with whether we meet the water quality standards or not. If we miss once, they tell us to go do an extra month. If we miss twice, they say, okay, do the recreation season.
Okay,
So it's just the regularity of having to do it weekly through that whole time.
Right.
period Is,
Yeah.
that, and, so that's what we'll think is, Albany has a guy with a boat. We'll bring our samples down on deck.
yeah,
And we'll look for volunteers that are closest to that sampling points, communities. And ask the sewer districts to give us be able to give us our samples or take them to Adirondack on the same days. And, then we'll find out what our report card is.
That's the part I'm most excited about. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Well, if they're good, we should celebrate, right?
I agree. Let's go bowling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, we're going swimming.
there we are, right, exactly. We're going right into the Hudson. Yeah,
I'm excited about swimming to the next long-term goal.
right, exactly.
Is that a given?
No,
Yeah,
but it's probably gonna happen.
yeah.
I think we were supposed to ask ex-governor Bataki to go swimming because he was the one that was gonna make,
Initiated this?
he was gonna make it be swimmable. Any other updating in terms of, I guess Manor Avenue is the next one that's.
Center Ave is, we're waiting for response from our comment resolution letter. And I'm waiting from Puff Harbor to give me the scope and fee for the one.
Yeah, just as a follow-up to that, Bill.
Yeah.
We had gotten an email from Sharon. I don't know if Sharon's still on or not.
Yeah.
Before the holidays, stipulating that EFC had signed off on the report, that it was approvable or that it was approved, and so they were the city was in the process of closing out that grant. I haven't seen it. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Seth because I think he sent in the proposal, possibly even this morning, Bill. And I asked him when he was talking, I asked him to call Rachel over at EFC and try and get a copy of that letter so we would have it on file.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I talked to Seth this morning. He did say he had a call into them and he did send me over the estimates and stuff. I haven't been able to look at them yet, but I want to take a look at that because I want to get it in front of our board of managers for discussion.
Yeah, and just for everybody's information, we did still carry a higher contingency amount at this point because while I don't think we would necessarily recommend you go after another WIA grant because it just isn't going to be worth the effort for you guys from the city.
exactly.
WQIP is potentially on the table. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how strong the project will score because it's a relatively simple project. It's not a very It's not a very big project, but that also means the WIA request would be smaller. But it's certainly over $1 million. So, it's worth considering filing the WQIP grant potentially, because as I said earlier, that works differently. That's not applied to just Cohoes portion. Those
Right.
types of grants, whether it's a WQIP or an IMG or the green infrastructure stuff that you might be more familiar with, Gary, those come off the project. So if
Right.
we did secure, let's just make up a number, $1 million WQIP grant, you would see that full grant amount. You wouldn't see that reduction based on Cohoes's contribution. So it is still worth considering. And in the spirit of full disclosure, I generally will do those for my projects at no cost to the communities. For only communities that I really like, which you guys
Okay.
qualify for.
Yeah, that's down on the record, Mike.
And they don't take me long. I've done so many for the Albany pool that I have a rather vast library to draw from, so I can pull those together fairly quickly and efficiently.
Okay, one thing in regard to that, I think we were still trying to get that project done earlier because of the maturity of Troy's financing coming up. Not that that maturity couldn't get changed at some point if EFC wanted to, but that was a question that had come up, so I don't know what thought was about getting that out to design and bid, but I think Troy's maturity is like Q1 or Q2 of 2027.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the consent order date is until the end of 2027. And we had told the EFC that we thought it could get done quicker.
Yeah, for what it's worth from our perspective, and this is strictly, it really is going to default more to the city of Cohoes and when they wanna see it move forward. But from our perspective, our proposal is in. Once it's generally accepted by the city and goes through and gets approved by the city council, we can start scheduling survey and things like that so that we can get the design plans finalized. It's a relatively simple project. So there's no reason that if we don't see extended delays up front, just moving through the approval process, there's no reason to believe, Bill, that this wouldn't go out this year.
Okay, no wetlands determinations.
There could be. There could be some small ones, so I'm not going to kid you. We're hoping, Bill, that it falls under the category of what we experienced out on your project along
Packet.
Hackett, where we were able to document and get them to basically say, yes, we're not going to take jurisdiction over that. Because quite frankly, the impacts are limited to, wetlands that may have developed at one of the stormwater outfalls that we're talking about. The impacts are absolutely negligible. Ironically, the thing that drives me nuts about it is there's some erosion issues there. We have every right to go in there and just fix it. But because we're associating it with a project that's getting financed through EFC, we have to jump through these additional hoops. Otherwise they could literally send their crews out and dump riprap there. And first of all, nobody would know. And second of all, it's completely defensible because there's some erosion there that needs to be, you know, rectified. So
Okay.
so we're hoping we can move through that quickly though, and still get this project out maybe early fall or something along those lines.
Okay, so it's moving through its steps one at a time.
Yeah.
I guess that's all our projects, ABO compliance, we're doing stuff that, next step, now that we have our, audit done, or set, we get our budget, we got our audit together. Our, our evaluation from.
Are you able to set me up as a user in Paris?
I have to set myself up as a user.
Okay,
Martin is the user in Paris,
gotcha.
not in Paris, but Paris.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. And any other business?
Just the DOS grant saga. We're in year 3 of having no reimbursements. I think we're on the 6th version of the combined reimbursement requests. We're over, our contract modification in aggregate on the $500,000 grant is over by $3,700, which now requires a major contract amendment. So it'll be probably another 12 months before we get reimbursed for 1 year's of work.
Good lord.
Really, that's really where the waste and fraud and abuse, not fraud. You're off by a penny, they won't process it. They're not into fraud.
Okay. Painful. Then if there's nothing else,
So next meeting is February 12th, and Sharon, you'll get us those invoices for the next meeting?
I'll ship them out today. I
Great.
just sent out the ship out letter to you, so.
Okay.
I won't hear from him.
Yeah, neither will I.
Oh. Well,
I'm gonna be in Florida for the whole of February, so.
okay,
Come back.
good for you.
I can come to that meeting.
Okay, Sharon can come to that meeting, and if Maggie can come, then we'll have a quorum.
I'll be there
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I've got training. It's Engineers Week. And the 12th and 13th are training days.
Woo-hoo.
okay, gotta
That
get
sounds fun.
those,
At Marriott.
gotta get those
Whoa.
PDHs.
Exactly. 5 a day.
Okay, well,
I'll be here. I'm looking forward to it already.
motion to adjourn, anybody?
I'll make a motion.
Gary, second,
I will second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day.